Hey guys, what's up? Lexa here. Now I wanted to make this video and I should have made it a long time ago, but I finally gathered all the information and in no way am I endorsing Donald Trump at all. I am simply showing that Hillary is not the right choice either. Given the chance though, I think she's way more qualified than Donald Trump, and I would vote for her over Donald Trump with my life. At the end of the day, you know, you have to go with your gut. Now, I'm registered as an independent, and many people have warned me, but I wanted to stay true and do it anyway. But this means that I cannot vote in the primary election, or I couldn't. In the primary election, if you're registered Democratic, you have to vote Democrat. If you're registered as a Republican, you have to vote Republican. So when our votes really do count, they regulate the shit out of who can vote and who you can vote for. Now more than ever, I think we're seeing exactly how corrupt our system is, and I just wanted to sort of give you an eye-opening look into some of the things and some of the reasons why I think Hillary Clinton is corrupt as well. So here are top 5 reasons why I dislike Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has been coddled, and she's been in the White House for many years, and it wasn't until now that she started really worrying or thinking about black culture, and I think it's because now she needs their vote. Running for president, suddenly it matters. Suddenly she speaks about it. Hillary Clinton has sang the praises of many questionable people, one including Margaret Sanger, who was a famous antinatalist and eugenist.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision.
Eugenic Sterilization, an Urgent Need, by Ernst Rudin, who was Hitler's director of genetic sterilization and the founder of the Nazi Society for Racial Hygiene.
She believed that if you weren't wealthy, if you didn't have good genes, if your child could potentially have mental disabilities, mental issues, health issues, or overall you just were of a mixed race, that you shouldn't be having children, that it was one of the worst things that you could ever do.
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically, delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things, just marked when they're born. That to me is the good.
And when I think about what she did all those years ago in Brooklyn, taking on archetypes, taking on attitudes and accusations flowing from all directions, I am really in awe of her.
But, you know, I know who Margaret Sanger is. And I know that she believed in eugenics, and that she was not particularly enamored with black people. And one of the reasons that you find most of their clinics in black neighborhoods is so that you can find a way to control that population.
Either way, I do think Margaret's reasonings were very disheartening, very uncompassionate, and a little bit scary. Now, I know a lot of Republicans are very anti-abortion, and they believe that all life is special and precious, and I do think that, you know, it's the parents' decision, it's the woman's decision, but this sort of mentality was also practiced by Hitler and some of his people.
In her praise for the eugenics programs in Germany, Sanger called for the implementation of such programs in the United States, specifically targeting African Americans.
It isn't exactly a Holocaust, but it's preventing a race from breeding, which is another way of eliminating or wiping them out. And this is why Margaret wanted to put all of these Planned Parenthood clinics in areas of low income and in areas of mixed race.
If any question should remain about Sanger's racist agenda, a 1939 letter she wrote to Dr. Clarence Gamble should remove all doubt.
We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is a man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurred.
All the black babies. That is the basis of Planned Parenthood. And are you kidding me? How many African Americans even know that?
And there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from her life and from
what?
the cause she launched and fought for and sacrificed. So great.
He didn't say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
Okay.
Okay.
I was a Goldwater girl. I'm very proud that I was a Goldwater girl.
Goldwater was against the '64 Civil Rights Act.
40,000 people, half of them Negroes, demonstrate against Goldwater.
Speaking of race and eugenics, Hillary Clinton has been accepting some very iffy donations, which tie in.
Our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility, and I will remember him for many things. I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his colleagues, better public servants and better citizens. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy. From my first day in the Senate, I sought out his guidance, and he was always generous with his time and his wisdom.
Now, apparently the KKK was talking about donating to Hillary's campaign. Now, why wouldn't they just donate to Donald Trump's campaign if this is what they think?
The Clintons did not live up to their promise to disclose all foreign donations.
Hillary Clinton was caught hiding large foreign donations in her tax write-offs. And I'm starting to think it's because she's a part of a corrupt establishment, ones from Wall Street that she's even bailed out.
Zero donations from foreign governments when in fact there were tens of millions of dollars.
What? It's an easy mistake, that 0 to tens of millions. That's an easy mix-up. That probably happened there is, if you were doing it there, like, okay, 10 million, you probably misplaced the one. And
Number 3.
But you will not find that I ever changed a view or a vote because of any donation that I ever received.
Senator Hillary Clinton voted for the Iraq War, voted for the Patriot Act, voted for the banker bailout. She is initiating policies for the global elite, for the very few rich establishment people who do not give a damn about you and do not give a damn about anybody else.
I believe that's kind of why she flip-flops, is because she needs the support of these big corporations, but she also wants the American people to believe and support her.
Of course we have to deal with the problem that the banks are still too big to fail. We can never let the American taxpayer and middle-class families ever have to bail out the kind of speculative behavior that we saw. But we also have to worry about some of the other players. AIG, a big insurance company, Lehman Brothers, an investment bank. There's this whole area called shadow banking. That's where the experts tell me the next potential problem could come from. So I'm with both Senator Sanders and Governor O'Malley in putting a lot of attention onto the banks and
of Hillary's top contributors to her campaign, and you look and see how nervous Bernie Sanders looks. He's like, excuse me, raising my hand now. If you don't believe that Hillary Clinton flip-flops, just listen to this story.
The credit card companies have been pushing to try to tighten the bankruptcy laws, sort of like locking the doors to the hospitals and then claiming nobody's sick in America, because you can make more money if those families don't go into bankruptcy. If you're a Clinton, evidently saw
The First Lady.
The First Lady. She was then First Lady. This is in the 1990s, late 1990s. Mrs. Clinton saw the piece, and I got a call from the White House. And they said Mrs. Clinton was going to be in town to give a speech in Boston, and would I come and meet with her? I said, sure. I show up at the appointed place. After she's finished her speech, we're ushered into a tiny little room somewhere in the bowels of this hotel, and just the two of us. They close the door. Mrs. Clinton sits down. We have hamburgers and French fries.
And you tutor her.
And she says, tell me about bankruptcy. And I got to tell you, I never had a smarter student. One of the first bills that came up after she was Senator Clinton was the bankruptcy bill. This is a bill that's like a vampire. It will not die, right? There's a lot of money behind it. And
the bill her husband had vetoed.
Her husband had vetoed it very much at her urging.
And?
She voted in favor of it. She voted in favor of it.
She voted in favor of it.
As Senator Clinton, the pressures are very different. It's a well-financed industry. A lot of people don't realize that the industry that gave the most money to Washington over the past few years was not the oil industry, was not pharmaceuticals. It was consumer credit products. Those are the people, the credit card companies have been giving money.
Number 4.
You know what? That is maybe the 10th time you have cited that figure today.
It is.
And I have not heard anyone other than you ever cite that figure. Who told you that 90 to 95% of your emails were in the State Department system? Your general report found that less than 1% of State Department emails, record emails, were captured.
Not to mention the email scandal that's going on, which in my eyes isn't even as big of a deal as some of the other things that Hillary Clinton has done.
The media has been complicit in giving Hillary Clinton what appears to be this golden free pass, because they just all seem to know that she's going to be president in 2016, and that's just how it is. Back in the day, she was working at the Rose Law Firm, a prestigious Arkansas law firm that had clients like Tyson and Monsanto and Walmart, who she later sat on the board of directors for and helped implement this influx of cheap Chinese goods into America that has completely destroyed our economy.
This pile represents the emails that you sent or received about Libya in 2011, from February through December of 2011. This pile represents the emails you sent or received from early 2012 until the day of the attack.
The server contains personal communications from my husband and me.
Only time I got on the internet, I did 2 emails, and I ordered Christmas presents from a reservation. Otherwise, I found people said embarrassing things on emails. I didn't want to be one of them.
Number 5, her sometimes corrupt foreign policy.
With Libya is about the oil. You'd think we'd be in Iraq if the major export there was broccoli.
But some are convinced intervention in Libya is all about currency, specifically Gaddafi's plan to introduce the gold dinar.
The question was, if Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, what would our response be? And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. And I want them to understand that, because it does mean that they have to look very carefully at their society.
In debate against Bernie Sanders, he stated that he was totally against Henry Kissinger.
Where the Secretary and I have a very profound difference. In the last debate, and I believe in her book, very good book, by the way, in her book and in this last debate, she talked about getting the approval or the support or the mentoring of Henry Kissinger. Now, I find it rather amazing, because I happen to believe that Henry Kissinger was one of the most destructive secretaries of state in the modern history of this country. I am proud to say that Henry Kissinger is not my friend.
If you guys don't know who Henry Kissinger was, he was Secretary of State in the 70s and mentored Hillary Clinton a lot on foreign policy. He also served as National Security Advisor.
I will not take advice from Henry Kissinger. And in fact, Kissinger's actions in Cambodia, when the United States bombed that country, overthrew Prince Sihanouk, created the instability for Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge to come in.
And a lot of people criticize him for constantly starting wars with other countries and bombing people, especially in Cambodia.
Who then butchered some 3 million innocent people, one of the worst genocides in the history of the world. So count me in as somebody who will not be listening to Henry Kissinger.
Do not judge a person by their gender or their race. Let's look at the record.
Don't you someday want to see a woman president of the United States of America?
What is the #1 reason why you support Hillary Clinton's presidency?
To be honest, it's because she's a female. I know that's like kind of a bad answer to give since it's like not based on an issue.
Biggest reason you're going to be voting for Hillary in 2016?
Because it's time we have a female president.
So you're voting based on sex?
Ready for Hillary?
I'm definitely ready for Hillary, sir.
What do you think her greatest accomplishment as Secretary of State was?
Oh my goodness. In particular, I honestly don't know to answer.
I mean...